What is up, everybody? This is Brian, the Tailgate Tour Guide, and for anybody who knows me, knows that not only do I love, mountain driving and everything. You can see I've got my 4Runner for off-roading, but I just have a love for everything Toyota. And you can see behind me, I've had this 92 Toyota Previa here since just before COVID, and bought this van for like a few $100. I think it's like $600 or $700. Fixed it up, did all the maintenance items on it, and then when the pandemic happened, we ended up road tripping this van all the way from Asheville, North Carolina to California and back in just over 2 weeks, and had a fantastic trip. Really no issues with the van. Just a super good time. Now, I'm not one that's necessarily had to have a van in my life, but after having this thing and the unique quirkiness of it, the mid-engine, the rear-wheel drive, everything, I fell in love with this van. Keeping it up has been, kind of interesting with it being a more unique vehicle. It's just been a fantastic common like pickup truck to have around for hauling stuff, or going tubing, or hauling friends and family around when they're in town, things like that. But as I grew more, I guess you'd say, educated on the Previas and all the different versions of them, I noticed that I did not get one of the more highly optioned ones. Mine was just a two-wheel drive, no supercharger, no sunroofs, nothing crazy. I practically bought it from the first owner. So it was just kind of a unique Toyota in that case, but maybe not the nicest of the vans they made for this generation. So I bought another one. Plot twist though, I didn't buy the exact same type of thing. I bought an Estima. So you can see here on the right is my 92 Previa. And on the left here is my new, first time ever for me, right-hand drive vehicle. And it's a 93 Toyota Estima. And it's so crazy seeing these things, side by side right now, because I knew that there were some similarities and some differences, but I did not necessarily catch how different these two vehicles actually are. Both in the features, which, you could get features on the Previas, some of the looks, the front end, things like that. But the overall dimensions, I read online that they were a little bit narrower, a little bit shorter, but I did not really realize until I actually put them side by side how much of a difference it is. I just thought it was a difference in things like the bumpers. Like you can see the US bumpers, kind of stick out, for crash test safety ratings and stuff like that here, versus on the Estima, that's a lot more shaved and chiseled, kind of narrow. Nose cone there. I thought that it was just kind of stuff like that. I did not realize that it was actual body dimensions of the car. Again, I thought that, maybe the fenders here, since the fenders are flared on the Previa and the fenders are straight here on the Estima, that's probably where they got that, 1 inch, narrower body or something. But no, it is significantly narrower. The difference between the fenders is a few inches shorter. You can see the difference here on the width of the hood, and then on the back hatch, I think I measured the hatch width here from edge to edge is about 52 inches, and the width here is like 56 inches. So every dimension of this car is wider and longer on the Previa than it is the Estima. Now, talking about this Estima though, I fell in love with this thing because it has everything that I have wanted to have on one of these vans, and I just happened to stumble upon one that had the color. I've always loved the teals and the blues, as you can see here. This one, as you might have peeked on the back end, is an all-wheel drive, which is fantastic. Of course, this one, as I talked about, it's right-hand drive. And this one, with it being an Estima Lucida, this is basically the fully loaded one. So it has auto climate control, it has the parking sensors, it has the dual sunroofs, it has the captain's chairs, and so on and so on. It's got the hot and cool box down here in the floor, which is awesome since mine doesn't have that either. So this is basically a fully loaded one. It even has the typical little, Japanese flair, like the backup mirror, which I need to really get adjusted so it works for me. The spoiler, everything. And it's so cool having this. And unfortunately, this one's not a perfect van. That's how I got it for so cheap. You can see it's got the same type of little blemishes that you'd have on a on a minivan. I feel like it's got some similar character to the one that I already have. This is probably the biggest of the dents on the car. Look, there's something just kind of rubbed along the side of it, but I'm pretty sure I can get most of this massaged out. compared to this really poorly repaired by myself dent that was really pushed in on this van that I tried to just smooth out and never got repaired. But the condition of this van is in really good shape. It's really just needing some maintenance items. The person who I bought it from was intending on, I think, turning it into like a camper van or something like that, and just never got around to finishing up the project, and I think felt a little overwhelmed having a Japanese vehicle that maybe a little tougher to find parts for. But as you can see here in the back, it's a little bit of a disarray. I've got my stuff from transporting the car, some tools, and I had to put an alternator in it, things like that. But you can see here are the captain's chairs, which do swivel. And then of course you've got the regular seats, just like in the Previa, where you've got the 2 seats in the back and they fold up and can hang on the side. Now you can see here, there's the shades, which I need to get kind of straightened back out and reattached. I'm not sure if the power actuation works on this. But there's the rear blower for the roof mounted blower. There's the rear sunroof that opens. You can see the sunroof controls are right there. It's so funny, it's the same exact sunroof controls as what's in my 95 4Runner. And there's so many little things I didn't even know that you could get on these things. So for example, when you close this, and there's some new parts for it, previous owner made a comment that the suspension's a little bit worn out, so here's all the new stuff I need to go through and kind of inventory, make sure it's all the right stuff. But if you close this hatchback, it has a soft close mechanism. So I don't know if you can hear that, but when you close it, you hear the little actuator comes out and pulls back in, which is crazy because I didn't know you could do that, because on mine it's just a regular old hatch, and honestly half the time it doesn't even close fully. But really cool to kind of see the differences. A lot of the Japanese stickers are still on this from, you know, some sort of parking passes and things like that. I haven't translated everything and what it means just yet, but tons of just unique character, unique qualities about this van. And it's going to be super fun to kind of get this thing kind of put back together and put a stereo back in it. You can see the previous owner had a radio and pulled it out for whatever reason. So it's going to be fun to kind of work on this. And again, it's just so interesting to see the differences, because, you know, the seating configuration's the same. You still have the access under here. You still have the same engine cover on the same side to get uncheck the oils and things like that, which is the same on mine. It's just under the driver's seat. But you can just see how different the dashboard is on the United States Previas, where it's got this really funky, like almost like W shape dash where it kind of juts out here, very much like a spaceship. And this one still has that same quality, but pay attention to where the little, you know, hoops are here. And obviously this one has this very unique top-down dashboard in lieu of an airbag, of course, the 92. But if you look over here, it's completely different. You still have the same idea with the gauges, but you have more traditional glove box here. On this van, it actually has a tachometer, because apparently on the US vans, they didn't feel like that was necessary. But here's your sonar, your parking sensors, your auto climate control, you know, all the normal stuff. It's so funny because this actually does have the ECT button that these Toyotas are kind of known for, which is, in my history, doesn't really do much. But I never really thought about the fact that the Previa never had that option, just has the overdrive button there. But it's so cool to have these two. I'm not planning on doing a whole lot with this van other than just kind of, you know, doing the same kind of maintenance as I have done on this Previa so far, and that's just to kind of clean it up. I'll probably get some of those little body blemishes repaired, see if I can get some PDR work done on it. But I love the paint. I love the fact that this doesn't have the faded, unpainted plastic bumpers and things like that. I love the all-wheel drive. Mine is lowered. It's actually on, I think it's Espalier springs, some new old stock that I found a few years ago. I don't think that I'm going to lower this one. I don't think it's super easy to lower these with the all-wheel drive and the independent rear suspension. But I will go ahead and refresh all the suspension on this with the stuff that's in the van, minus whatever missing parts are. Since I'm not going to keep this Previa, I really just don't need to have two vans. I am going to transpose some things. I'm actually going to work on this today. The wheels, which are my RAV4 Sport wheels, those are certainly going to come over. I've always loved these, and I think it'll even look better with the paint on this. I may or may not move some stereo items over, since I have a subwoofer that I added to the Previa. So we'll see if I want to carry that over, if it fits the same. But this is kind of just a little bit of an intro video, to kind of show you guys how crazy I am. And I don't know why I have this issue with just buying random crap, as you can see here, but I only paid $3,000 for this van. I had to put an alternator in it and drove it all the way home from Charlotte. So I felt like that was a pretty good deal, because most of these from an importer, when they're, you know, cleaned up and ready to go, are, you know, from $10,000 and up. And their prices are kind of all over, especially on the all-wheel drives with captain's chairs and sunroofs. And fun fact, you could not actually get a dual sunroof Previa in an all-wheel drive, an all-track, as they called it here in the United States. So this is a bit of a unicorn for us here, because, you know, this one has everything. It's got the dual sunroofs, it's got all of it, the all-wheel drive. It's the same exact engine as what's in mine. But you could not get the all-wheel drive with dual sunroofs. Don't know why, it's just not an option for Toyota. But that's why I'm really happy to have this one and kind of get it, you know, cleaned up and do all the maintenance and get it, you know, running as good as this one. So far, driving it back, it drives pretty good. Just going to go through brakes and things like that. But pretty excited about this. I'm not sure how many people are going to care, but I think it's cool. I just figured I'd share it with you all. So thanks so much for watching.